let's see. What are we thinking about doing? I think I want to do something that is a humanoid, right? So that means it stands on twos, and has some element. I'm feeling like this would be like a kind of a good creature, maybe like a lichen, or maybe just a werewolf, or maybe just a beastie that kind of has elements of those things. I guess you could call it kind of a mixed thing, which I guess would make it a, I don't know, as a lichen. I'm not absolutely up on my bestiary study, but I think something that would be a little bit creature like, that resembled, maybe I was thinking like maybe a wolf, or I was thinking maybe like maybe a hyena, something snarly and teethy, and something that you kind of you don't really like. That's a little bit scary. Some sort of beastie. So we'll see. Probably lots of teeth. Now, as a lot of you know, when I start out sketching, I like to make notes to myself. This is sort of my little notes in the margin, maybe some points that, I want to check and make sure I get to. Um, and words come faster than sometimes sketches do. We can spend a lot of time on a sketch, but we can explore more concepts, wider concepts, through words. So I think it's this combination of words and pictures. But I've always been a person who loved words. I think for me, when I got started making art, I wanted to be, an illustrator, because I wanted to tell the stories in my head, and the stories I was reading that were coming to life in my head and inspiring me. I wanted to make those pictures. So it was always about storytelling, and making pictures about words. It always started with words for me. So for me, that's why I have this real base that I like to keep, a list of words running here over on the side. Um, yes, Ray Ray. Yeah, we had some good falafel over there, actually. Definitely. Um, so yeah, finding a good hookup for the falafel is important. Important for sure. Raider 3000, check him out. My good friend Ray, a great artist and a great modeler and a cool dude. Um, let's see, what else could we do? Probably claws of some sort, right? I also kind of think that this guy's gonna be kind of ragged. Um, you know, um, so a little bit kind of run down, sort of snarling. Um, but I think that's gonna mean like head down, sort of determined. But I like this idea that maybe he's on twos, but partially on threes. Maybe a 3 point stance. So I don't exactly know what that's going to be. So I think for me, starting over here, without getting too much into the creature yet, I'm going to start with maybe a pose, and thinking about like what would be the kind of pose that I would want to do. So I'm thinking about a head shape. And I'm thinking about this idea of maybe a neck. And I like this idea that maybe, so I have this kind of spine. I have these sort of shoulders that are, and I like the idea that maybe this arm is down here in some sort of knuckles stance. So we've got this face, kind of maybe kind of wolf like. It's going to have a bit of a face kind of down. And I'm not saying pure anatomy of like a dog necessarily. I'm just thinking teeth are probably kind of snarling. A little bit of a cheekbone there. It's funny, I know, when I was a kid, I was really one of the things we were all really inspired by in my generation was Michael Jackson, and specifically his video Thriller, which was this sort of classic look at beasts and the things that scare us. And he was really playing off of like werewolves and all those kind of classic horror movies. And so he had a lot of wolf creatures in there, and I remember just some of that was really terrifying. And then Michael, of course, turns into this kind of wolf character, which was really great. Not to mention the breakdancing zombies was pretty badass too. So I'm just kind of keeping it loose. I'm thinking, loosely about anatomy, like what would need to happen. And I know that I'm going to have this axis line kind of moving this way. And when I start, I'm always paying attention to hips and shoulders. Hips and shoulders. What's going on with hips and shoulders? So that means I'm probably going to end up with another arm up here. And I don't know exactly what that arm would do. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be kind of up, maybe back in. Maybe he's holding something. I don't know. And it's really, I think in this case, I'm picturing something bipedal. Something bipedal, but that's really kind of almost hunkering down now. So this hook shape is a little bit of like a center line that I sometimes use just to help keep my anatomy straight. And in this case, I'm thinking something where he's going to be sort of down on one leg maybe, or down on a knee. Maybe a little too much back in. I'm doing a little straight on here, so I can't have the and then so I have this sort of quadruped stance here. And if the hips are a little lower here, they're higher here. So I don't exactly the foot's got to come up a little bit higher. I don't like how that's so far out to the side, so let's bring that back. Just kind of finding the pose. Same time, kind of exploring a little bit of the anatomy. So this leg's kind of up and back. I don't know, maybe this one's more straight on. A lot of foreshortening here. Which I mean, a lot of this is kind of tucking back underneath there. That's not bad. Kind of like that. It's almost like a squat pose. Got to kind of hide the middle area there. It's going to be kind of hairy, I imagine, so it's okay. I don't want both arms doing the same, right? So I'm thinking, what would that other one be doing? Maybe it's sort of resting on his knee. That might be kind of cool. Maybe it's sort of coming back. And then the hand is a little more claw-like. And it's sort of resting here. Sort of have this deltoid bicep cutting back in here. So it's resting on his hand, on his leg a little bit. Like he's just smart enough that it makes you think that he's not pure animal. There's a little bit of human left in there, just something a little bit left. But I like that. So we got this sort of doggy snout, wolfy snout. Keep him kind of rough. Probably got to make some claws a little bit. It's a little odd stance, but we could work with it. We could tweak it around. These longer arms. Thanks for joining me tonight. If you're getting out a pencil, want to draw along, maybe you got some work of your own. Thanks for hanging out with me. What am I drawing with here tonight? I'm drawing with this Koh-i-Noor Hartmouth Progresso HB. It's an all graphite pencil. I noticed that I found these online, and I've been looking for a good graphite stick to draw with, and I have a few that I like, but it's really hard to find individual sticks, and I love HB for me, at least when I'm in the sketch phase. So for me, finding one that works really well and being able to buy a bunch of just one is hard. You can buy a lot of the packs that have, through 6B, but I never use anything really below a 2B. I don't like that much graphite on the surface. If I need something that dark, I'll switch to maybe like a Prismacolor or something that makes a little darker mark. Graphite just gets so soft and there's so much on there that it comes up. And I'm going to probably end up painting or doing something else over the top anyway, so. All right, so let's figure he's got some pectoralis there, and he's got his clavicle here, and he's probably got his trapezius coming back here. A little bit of this kind of humpback, which gives him that kind of animal quality. A little bit of a sloping trapezius. And I don't know how much detail I'm going to really put because he's going to be hairy. I don't want to give him some ridiculous amounts of abs or anything like that, so I'm just going to leave him a little bit maybe faded here, and then it gets a little hairier down in that region in his wolf-like nethers. And then behind him, basically, I don't know what that thumb would be doing, but I'm picturing his opposable finger would be somewhere down there. So he's got these claws, perhaps. Give him a little bit of a hairy contrast. Just a little tonality, nothing serious. He's going to be a kind of a darker creature. Oh, I love that jam when you're listening to something and all of a sudden your song comes on. That is the best. So I'm listening to, I got some people under the stairs right now. So these hyenas kind of have these interesting faces, They have a little bit of the more rounded ears rather than the pointed ears. Maybe I'll try another version of that. I'll give him just a little bit of ground shadow for dimension. Could probably work on this. So this is where it becomes a little bit like he's down on knuckles. Well, maybe he's got some big, nasty. Actually, got to be a little careful. He's on knuckles, so only maybe the thumb would show. So he's kind of doing that knuckle stance, 3-point stance, or 3-finger stance, I guess. A little more on his knuckles. So maybe we get a little bit of a talon there on the thumb. Okay. Don't want to go much more than that. This is just a preliminary sketch, just kind of getting some ideas going. Want to do a couple of these. Okay, this is good. This is the first one. So maybe we just call this this is A1. Let's try another one here. Maybe this one I'll make a little more hyena. Kind of alternate the pose. Check back over with some stream health, make sure we're doing good. All right, let's try another one. Maybe this one's a little more aggressive. So I'm going to bring him a little more forward. And you know, I'm thinking about hyenas, and it looks, you know, they have a little bit more of this kind of rounded muzzle. And they have these kind of rounded ears. So I'm looking at shapes. Everything's a little more roundy on them. But they have this kind of stare, you know, and they don't quite snarl like a wolf. This is a little more wolf-like. So, but it's a little bit like a 1,000-yard stare kind of thing. Like they are really watching your every move. They have those eyes, those really dark eyes. Maybe a little bit of snarl. Okay, so let's say if this were a human, down, kind of bending down a little bit, then this would have to be really. So I think we'd be talking about a hindquarters a little bit lower. Again, the upper neck is really kind of important. And then maybe this arm, again, let's go hips, shoulders this way. So hips would kind of be going the other way. So again, that would maybe mean that I'd have an arm. It's funny, you know, as I'm thinking about this knuckle stance, I'm thinking a little bit more about how like a chimpanzee or a gorilla, now that I think about it, might stand. Shoulders up there. So this shoulder's kind of coming back. Maybe his pec is down a little bit lower, pec's up a little bit higher there. Thinking a little bit about that knee. Quadricep kind of coming forward. Patella. So a lot of foreshortening in there. I like maybe this hindquarter is a little too far out. How you guys doing? Everybody doing okay? You sketching on something? Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of hip over here. Maybe it needs to come a little longer. Knees a little lower here. So maybe the hand. What if the arm's coming back? That's all back here, and then the hand's coming here, and there's a little bit of this like. So I sort of have my fingers are. These might be some. It's kind of creepy when you see something that dangerous looking so human, right? I don't know if that shoulder would be quite so far out. Pectoralis kind of coming up there. Can emphasize those knuckles a little bit. Would there be a tail? Maybe. Let's look at some hyenas here. All right. Always good to have a little bit of reference to help you out, just so you're getting some of those anatomy points down. So I'm figuring that he's kind of a real badass. So probably some more muscles, right? But these ears, it's weird, but those ears make them almost seem kind of softer. Almost a little mouse-like. But with a little bit of point to them. They're not completely round. But boy, they have that. More of a roundy head there. So you got to figure that those eyes are going to be dark. Those eyes of the hyena. really, really dark. And not that we're doing 100% hyena either, but we're looking at what they have about them that's a little more rounder heads. So I got to soften some of this anatomy with fur. So we're keeping some of the lines, but we're softening them with a little bit of a textural quality. So we're kind of loosely following a little bit of that anatomy, but adding some of that fur in there too. Got to strengthen that silhouette though. Don't want to lose that. Things are going well in your week. What you guys are drawing on out there. I'm not sure which of these I like better, but that quadricep. All right, a little bit of these knuckles again. All right, let's throw a little ground shadow again, just to kind of help us out. And then I think we were looking at hyena tails here, right? Do they have much tails? No, not really. They got these kind of mangy, bushy looking things. They look like brooms or something. So we'll keep that on the shorter side. But it might help sell our beastie kind of qualities. Pectoralis, thoracic arch, ribs, hind legs kind of stuck back in there. Okay, that's not bad. A little more aggressive. It's funny, this guy here, he's a little bit like, hey, how you doing? I'm just chilling here. Where this guy's like, you want some of me? Because I want some of you. These dark, dark noses. So a little bit of a muzzle there, but Maybe a little bit of snarl and some teeth on the side there. All right, strengthen the silhouette a little bit. Knock this couple of these pieces back. I need to kind of stay sharp here. Handy dandy sharpener. Always good to invest in a good electric sharpener. Wow, that was not a great electric sharpening. I'd have to. There we go. They're hard to find these days. I don't know about you guys, but finding a good electric sharpener for pencils that's worth its weight is really hard to find. Just not happening. I've tried a couple, and some of the better companies they aren't very good anymore. Like, you can't even find, like, Panasonic used to make some really great ones, but you can't find those anymore. Boston was another one. Now they're all made by these sort of new art companies that have like art in the name. You're kind of always a little suspicious about that, but I don't know. The motors in them break. They don't really get super sharp. They're loud as heck. Usually, the old ones, the better ones, were always kind of snug and quiet and gave you that really nice solid feel when you were sharpening. It's hard to find a good one anymore. If you guys have suggestions on one, if you find one that you like, let me know what you're using. I'd love to know, because I have one that sort of works now. I have an old Panasonic down here. It's poor thing's on its last leg. Somebody gave it to me one time. But if you know of a good maker, let me know, because I am in the market to try to find one that's a little bit better than what I have. I don't know how much longer this thing's going to work. And I have one I bought my son that's not bad. I have to remember the name of it. I don't think I can quite see it from here, but all right. So what are we learning from this? We'll call this maybe B1. I always tell my students, when you're doing your designs, it's very important to label the version that you're working on. It's easy to just move on and move on and move on, but sometimes, especially when you're working for a client and you're presenting multiple ideas, they need to know what to call it. And just labeling the drawing and the assignment that you're working on gives them a reference point, like, we really liked this one or this one. And there's no mistaking what they like. So, not that I'm going into full concept design here, I'm just having fun, but it's important. So this is B would be the more hyena, and I guess this maybe A would be a little more of the wolf kind of quality. A little shading here, especially down below. Sort of strengthen that silhouette. Especially on those hind legs, because I want them to sit back there behind a little bit, so they need to be a little darker. All right. I like that. That's pretty good. I don't know if we're there yet. Let's shift gears up, and maybe we do a little sketching on here, on some details, just to kind of flesh these things out a little bit. So I'm going to keep that up above where I can see it. I'm going to work a little closer now, and I'm noticing that this first one, A1, is really working heavily off triangles. A little bit of a flatter head here, wider set, with kind of beastie nose. So I'm going in for a bit more detail. So I'm using my quick sketch to get the overall angle down, and then I'm going to kind of work it out here in the sketch and really get into some of these details that I just, loosely put. And now I'm going to kind of work on them a little bit more. And I'm thinking about this head shape. So I'm thinking about that muzzle. And it's a little bit 3/4, right? So I'm seeing a little bit more of this side. So this side's a little bit more behind. Cheekbones kind of hanging out here. One thing, wolves kind of have is a little bit more of those. I guess they're sort of whiskers. If those were on a person, they'd be like getting the lamb chops on the side. Some mutton chops. Sorry, I said lamb chops. I must be hungry. Some sort of mutton chops on the side. These sort of intense brow. Sort of some scrunching of the nose. And then we sort of have this sort of open jaw thing. Probably some sizable teeth. I don't want to overdo it. There's a fine line between caricature and sort of realism. And I think sometimes there's a tendency to want to play up some of these features so much that they're just like huge knuckles and hands, or ginormous teeth, or insane amounts of pecs or abs, and you're just like, I don't know. For me, I guess it's a style choice, but I've always erred a little bit more side on like that could almost be like, I could almost imagine that, realistically. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf. So maybe he's got a little more of this beard. Maybe we bring in some of the human side a little bit more. So let's see, jaw kind of coming back up in here. There's a little bit of this sort of inside of the mouth. And then the jaw is sort of coming back here. But the cheekbones are pretty wide, so that jaw is kind of coming behind there. Give him some kind of pointy, beastie ears. How you guys doing out there? Doing good? Are we working it out? Are we not ready for sleep yet? Are we not ready to get pulled away? No, this is our time. This is our time to get this done. It's hard. I know everybody is really kind of struggling these days. and there's some, exciting things in the wings, but things are in a holding pattern, and it's it's brutal. No one's real sure what's going on coming out of the pandemic, and things are getting somewhat more hopeful. Can you guys believe we're still at it after all this time? It's amazing, but it seems like the proof is really coming in that vaccinations are working, and wearing your masks is working and making a difference in knocking this down. So at least we're kind of making some progress, but it's not over, and we got to stay diligent. Okay, so let's see. Kind of just floating some teeth in here to see what feels right. I can't imagine he's got great dental hygiene. So there's probably some chipped teeth in there, and I'm kind of finding these shapes a little bit here too, right? Do we give him some whiskers? Let's do a little search here. What do wolves have in terms of whiskers? I gotta say, having the internet these days is absolutely amazing. When I was in school and we were learning, to reference and find things, it was hours in the library. It was going to your local library, going to your college library, poring over, you know, anthropology books, poring over zoology books, National Geographic, anything you could find that was out there to give you some sense of reference. It's so much easier today to just be able to pull up some references on the internet. It's just night and day easier. There's no excuse for really not kind of getting it right, because you have the world at your disposal. I mean, not disposal, but at your fingertips, I should say. At available to just pull anything up when you need it, right? There should be no reason why you can't do it. I'm gonna go a little wicked and kind of crooked with these whiskers a little bit. Like, it's almost like underneath all this is this old guy, right? Maybe he's a little fuzzier on the top. He's balding, a little mangy, but then he's got to have some kind of heavy whiskers there. Okay, I like that. That's not bad. We're getting some tasty stuff going on in there. Prelims pass. Getting it in the head. That's what we're doing here. Our head is designing here. And we're figuring out what's going to work and what's not. Picking up little characteristics as we go, things that we find that we're going to remember and add to it. I like this idea of maybe a little bit of a longer, almost like a person's beard rather than an animal. It's almost like a person's beard. Sort of a gum line there, maybe a little bit of a lip. It's almost like underneath this is this guy. A little narrower. I like the narrower chin, the narrower muzzle, a little bit of the jawline. Then we pick up the zygomatic there on the side, and then we're into the ears. And probably back here is going to be constriction. Now we got the P-Funk going right now. Some George Clinton. So again, I'm kind of looking a little bit at what we have here. A little bit more detail now. Under a groove. Down just for the funk of it. The move, nothing can stop us now. Nation under a groove. So I'm looking at that shoulder just a little bit. And then this kind of coming down. I like the way this kind of comes back. You know, you can't really tell here, but there's almost like a turning, like his shoulder's kind of going this way. But then his face is kind of coming back this way. There's a little bit of a snaky twist in there. I like that. So that means you got to accentuate that shoulder a little bit there. And this one comes down. The deltoid. Yeah. Yeah, man. Dig in that. I hope your drawings are coming along good out there. Hit me up. What's happening? What are you drawing tonight? Hey, thanks for the follow, Grim. Grim Howell, everybody giving some love. Thanks for following. I appreciate it. Don't forget the Discord, too. Started a Discord a little bit ago just so that we could kind of keep the discussion going. So if you want to keep up on all the latest, not that there's that much latest going on, but if you want to drop me a line or stay in touch or... Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Keeping it loose. Every time we draw it, we get a little more defined. We see the stuff that we liked. We start to get rid of the stuff that we don't need. We learn. Every time you draw it, you learn. And that's why we draw it many times more than once. Darken in the nose here a little bit. Feet don't fail me now. Can't stop us now. Nation under the groove. Okay. Do we do a side view? Is that really necessary? You know, do we do the side view? I mean, if I was going to full on take this farther, I would definitely want to go and do all the angles, do some turns, orthographics maybe, but you know, this is just fun drawing. I'm just kind of coming up with something on the fly. I like it. I think, you know, I've got enough here that I don't need much more. My plan is to go more directly into the illustration rather than spending more time breaking it down. So I'm probably going to go with something facing forward. So I like this. But one thing that's happening here, I don't know if you can see this, but you know, here he's more reserved, right? Hunching back, hand on, kind of at rest. And this one's a little more aggressive. But here we got something a little more in between, right? It's like the shoulders come up a little higher. There's a twist. You know, the body's kind of going this way. The head's kind of coming back this way. And I like that twist. That's something that this doesn't have. And this doesn't have. But it has more of the aggressiveness of this. So there's, again, every drawing is influencing the next one, right? So let's do this just for grins. Do I try and do maybe a head for this guy? Why not? Maybe we do. Let's do one more head for this. We'll do that. This will be our close-up for this one. This will be our close-up for this one, so we have a chance to get into some of those details a little bit more. All right. So I'm going to keep this nearby. Block this one just to not let myself get too influenced. Quick drink. I am thirsty, man. I got too much chili sauce. It's good. I love that stuff. Chili paste, man. It's the best. Hold on. All right. Back at it. So here we go. Alrighty. So here we go. So I like the head down a little bit. That's one thing I'm liking a little bit more is the head down. So he's a little more of a roundy here. And if he were to come down, I think it would be also like this kind of flat head, but he's a little more angular this way, a little bit of the cheek. And I'm lowering the nose just a little. His nostrils are a little more round. And bring up those teeth on the side like that. I'm thinking about skull shapes. Whoa, now we're over in the sign. I love Prince so much. Way too early. Way too early. A little bit of a center line can sometimes help us here. A little rounder. I like that shape. A little more round, but up. This black, dark eyes. Kiss, this song. God, I remember being like in sophomore in high school and just being like, whoa, whoa. This video was kind of off the hook for a sophomore in high school in the 80s. Okay. Scrunchy. Kind of scrunchy noses. Now these ears, remember, they're the more the rounded ears like that. But he's also going to be kind of really angry. So, you know, I was looking at a few pictures of hyenas here. They're all staring. I don't know if they're pissed off, but the ones that look more angry aren't really doing much different with their ears, which is weird because usually animals, when they're scared or you know, their ears go back. But I don't know, not maybe that's what's so weird about hyenas, right? Is that their ears never really go back. Like they're not afraid. They just stare at you. I don't know. Interesting. Maybe that's what's so creepy about them, right? It's funny. It's very bear-like. Now let's figure that behind this, the jaw is going to come down here. But I think we were going to go maybe closed mouth on this one. Which means really... It seems like sometimes hyenas get this snarl, but it's not so much showing the teeth in the front. Like the wolf and the dog is like they really expose those teeth. I don't see that happening. So it seems like they're more like the more the L is like just maybe like the one side, like they're just giving you a little bit of the hyena snarl. So I'm gonna keep this, but they just stare. They just stare at you in this really, really creepy way. Yeah, it's funny. They become like kind of like people in that they each one is different and each one has its own little story and personality. Why is this guy mad? I don't know. I have to erase just a little bit here. Don't want too much curviness so we lose the determination. There you go. Yeah. There we go. Right? Otherwise we get too soft and too sensual. And in this case, I'm going for something scary, right? And hyenas just kind of stare at you with their darkness. Gotta be careful. That snout is getting a little bear-like. So let's see. Kind of wider muzzle. Kind of keep the dimension of things here. A little contouring. Sometimes that's a little something you can do. You can kind of give yourself a few extra curvature lines. You're always thinking about contours, really, but if you draw your lines in the direction of the form, it sort of also can help remind you and give yourself a little more visual library and reference. So this one we're going shoulder down, which is very similar to what we got over here. It's a little more of a turn. It's a little more determination with that shoulder. So we're up a little higher there. Shoulder kind of comes down there. Hyenas are also really, they have kind of this dark snout, so I'm going to just come over the top here with a little bit of tone. Their whole muzzle and their whole eyes are just, everything's dark. I wonder where that is, by the way. There must be a reason why all that hair is so dark. Okay. Try that again. Just going to give that a little bit of a dark eyes. There we go. That kind of helped pop those out a little bit. All right. A little darker inside the ears. Might be a little big. Bring it back just a little. That feels better. All right. That was the far side. Little tone. But this is really more about combinations. Again, hyenas look like they got little whiskers, but it's definitely not a feature for the most part. So, although there is something about any creature having whiskers definitely says animal kingdom. He looks almost cute. That's not so good. We don't want cute. At least not for this one. If you want cute in yours, you do it. Sometimes cute works, but in this case. So I like this idea that, there's like drool. Hyenas always look like they're drooling because they're They're ready to eat you. This could have some little spittle and stuff. Do a little light in the eye there. I lost my tip. About ready to switch over to something else. Usually by the time, there's a little bit of these angles in here. A little flatter, angular, these flat planes. Some kind of all right. Well, what do we do? Do we go more hyena? Do we go more wolf? Gotta be honest, I like the hyena. There's something really kind of tough about the hyena. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's Halloween. I'm feeling a little more wolfy. Filthy. That I like better about this, especially with the turn in it. I'm excited to want to explore this kind of turn that's going on here. I did not have that up here. So a little more. Let's label these. I guess this would be A2, B2. All right. Where are we at time-wise? Let's do a quick time check. So we're about an hour and 20 minutes in. I was thinking probably 2 tonight, so let's say we got another 40 minutes. So I think maybe for tonight, God, I keep coming back to this. I don't know if it's the stare. I love the turn, but I like this. The stare is scary. Their eyes are dark, so maybe I could take some of the darkness here and put that over here, like the bigger pupil, you know, the dilated pupil, to where it's just all dark. This guy looks hungry. He's sizing you up for lunch. That's tough. Maybe we work on the pose and let's see where we are with that. You know, maybe we'll save the paint for next time. That'd be kind of fun. So part A might be just kind of getting the right sketch. So let's go to taking what we know now from these faces, from these first initial poses. Make a few notes to myself here. So one of the things I like to do when I'm concepting is I make all kinds of notes. So this kind of twist. a little bit of this kind of twist. We got the sort of shoulders going down one way. Oh, we were also talking about the feature of the longer beard. Oh, I like these pointier ear tips too, especially this one, the way it's kind of flaring up here. So we'll say pointy ear hairs. Tips. This would be because of, well, not hair, but I get, well, maybe it's hair, right? Is it hair? Is it fur? If we're going something kind of human, maybe it's more hair than fur. We also kind of talked about, liking the balding kind of quality. There's something kind of, maybe I'm empathizing with a middle-aged person, but there's something like when a person, you feel kind of bad for somebody who's kind of lost that luster. So, losing that hair from the head is sort of a human thing, not an animal thing. But we think of an older person, so maybe there's something like rough about him. He's having a tough time. It's empathy for losing your hair. Maybe it's like getting older, or maybe it's because there's, I don't know what the reason. I guess in humans it would be what, a lack of testosterone maybe, but in animals I don't know. But I think the balding does something. It kind of matures as it relates to humans, right? So we like that part. I think we definitely like, this one. This one has the stare for sure. And it's straightforward. It's a little bit more hungry. The hungry look. We always have to have this sort of high back, which also means lower head. Oh yeah, boxy muzzle. This is more of the hyena. Dark eyes, right? Gotta put the dark eyes here. But those are things I think in both of these that is working well. They have some similarities. The balding head. Maybe we put some tips on these. Not too pointy, but just, fuzzy, rough. No pun intended. Sorry, it was too easy. Oh, the little bit of the cracking of the mouth there, that's kind of interesting. Look at that. Like the idea that it kind of implies that maybe he's just starting to open his mouth a little bit, like kind of thing, like just a little bit there. They also, one thing I was noticing here was the hyena has the kind of diamond shape. Nose. That was something specifically I noticed about the hyena. Just kind of looking at a couple of them, it seems like kind of a consistency. Little Shy Fox. It has been a long time. Oh my God, we missed you a little bit earlier, but thanks for thanks for dropping back in. Hey, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, I was talking earlier. I had I had a busy month and a half maybe, but a couple of weeks for sure, where I had family stuff, travel, classes I'm teaching. It just busy. So things are looking a little smoother now, so I'm hoping I'll be back out more frequently. But thanks for coming back by. I appreciate it. um, thanks for the Eps on the picture. We've done two sketches. We kind of started with some basic poses and getting a little gesture going here with a little two directions, sort of a wolf one, Halloween, wolf one, maybe one a little more hyena, and a little bit of that sort of 3-point stance. And then we did a little bit more detailed into some faces. And I think I need to come back to stance because I don't think I've hit the stance that I want yet. There's elements of both that I like. A little too relaxed. We've now discovered the twist. And we've discovered the eyes and the balding and a few things that we want to do. So I'm going to bring that back over here and try another rough one. If I get time, got some paints over here. Just some quick colors, but I would probably switch papers. But I don't know that I'm going to get to that this sesh. I think this sesh is going to be just getting the pose and the basic design down, and then maybe next session we'll throw some color on. So let's get this pose down then. Got both of these things out here. And so one thing that I'm liking about the more wolf one is that we're kind of talking about having it's funny now that I'm thinking about it. I'm working horizontally, but I'm wondering if maybe, well, I'll work horizontally for the moment. I won't go that big yet. So we're talking about turning the body maybe a little bit. I'm just kind of loosely looking at shape language, right? Kind of looking at this position of what I've just learned. We're definitely getting a little bit more of the face. Coming in this side. Come on in and draw with us, by the way. Little shy fox. Yeah, I just noticed there was a skeleton in that person's front yard. I'll have to remember to come back and ask about that. Yeah, I love that. It's October. Why am I seeing random dead people around town? That's hilarious. So let's see. I wasn't going to say anything. I was on my way to work and I saw some dead people over there, but I thought, you just see that kind of stuff. So that's hilarious. Shy Fox, I hope you're doing well. Happy fall season. Thanks for coming back, checking back in. So we're talking about definitely a big shoulder, and I kind of like the idea that maybe the body's kind of coming this way. Originally I had him more straight on, but I like seeing a little bit more of the body here, right? So this is where we're getting a little bit of both worlds, right? So let's see. I like this high shoulder, and then we're kind of coming down. So it's almost like he's circling, right? We'll go a little higher on this shoulder up here. And then we'll come down. Figure that this is coming down like that. Kind of long arm, but that's okay. It's really kind of a quadruped in a 3-point stance. So we are looking at something that's kind of tall. So a higher shoulder. We still have to figure out what we would do. So if this arm is coming down here, and that means that the curvature of the body is sort of over here, right? Which is where we're kind of picking up the hindquarters a little bit more like this guy. So let's see, the back's kind of curving down, a little bit of curvature there. Probably somewhere in there. So let me see if I can find it a little bit more. So the chest would sort of come in here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Just this angle, this coming here, that leg kicking out here. You know, frequently when I start and I'm working on a pose like this, what I like to do is even just working in a basic wire frame. I actually call it Stickman for some of my beginning students, just because we're looking at a wire frame. You're thinking about curvatures of those limbs, and you want to stay loose enough that you get the pose, and you're not going into contouring. You're starting from the middle of the body and working out. So I like this though. This one is kind of good. I like that. That's sort of like kind of comes back here. So maybe we get one leg there, and then maybe this one is kind of coming forward, which would be, I guess, technically a little bit closer to us. Not sure if I'm going to use that line or this line. But if this leg is coming out here, I like this one. And the hip would technically, we got shoulders kind of coming down this direction, and those are always kind of working in opposite directions. So the hip would be a little higher here. So does that leg kind of come behind here? This is what we call drawing through, which is where you kind of have to like imagine what it is behind the shape that you're after. So the knee would sort of be there. And we're doing quadrupedal anatomy here. So is he on two legs? I kind of thought one knee would go down maybe. Seems a little too... This knee should go lower. Maybe way down here. Wow, I have not heard cake in forever. It does seem like this knee could come down here. This is where we're a little bit like this one here. So this one's, I guess that makes this one a little more forward and this one back, which makes it farther away. So then maybe Where'd we go? Over here. Maybe this, so then the spine kind of, and the back's way up like this. Okay. Safety dance. There's nothing more scary than opposable thumbs in a creature. Got some whiskers, got some. Be interesting if I had this kind of rib cage that was a little bony. That might be kind of interesting. Instead of just being like muscle, be muscle, but then there'd be these sort of strange thoracic piece that kind of almost sticks out in a weird way. a little bit of the ankle there. So we sort of have our kneecap over here. Gastrocnemius is sort of all tucked back in here, but these are like stensors. Okay, now what do we do with this side? What do we do with this hand over here? This is good. I like this. So we're getting really kind of elements of both. You know, we're getting this arm in front, a little shorter, not quite so long. May have to extend that a little bit. But then we're kind of adding a little bit of the back. So as usual, it's a design that's kind of using two things, right? A little bit of this kind of bony hip. Got to get these toes to be a little, the shape language needs to be a little less round and a little more angular, more jaggedy. Just that little bit of shape language is gonna can work on that in the next drawing. But this is good. Trapezius would come down there. Clavicle would be kind of coming in here. Probably have to bring, I don't know, there's a turn there, so the clavicle probably is dipping down in there. So these kind of wolf ears. Got to figure out what to do with that arm back there. What are we going to do with that arm? So we got this kind of bony rib cage, this lower abdomen. Okay. We're getting a little bit of this, but it's really kind of still pretty loose here. I'm still just trying to find it, so I don't want to over. I think this hand is going to have to come a little lower. It seems too short. It should be longer for as much as he's bent over. It's less. I think it'll be less of the top. Let's see if we can patch that up. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. Or maybe we're talking more. These are kind of human hands. So here, So I don't think any of this calf is going to be sticking out behind here. So this arm is going to kind of come right here, and it's going to block a little bit of us in the crotch here. It's going to cover the edge of the leg, which is really coming down behind here. Little sense of hindquarters. Oh, this tail might be too long. Maybe I got to come back. Too long. Kind of a mangy tail. But I like that. A little bit of cleanup here. Strengthen that silhouette. What are we gonna do with this other arm? What do? We don't want him to be on all fours, right? We don't want that because, well, it's just too quadruped. It's too what an animal is. So we have to do something. Couple of whiskers. Coming back up to our eyes over there. Just a little bit of work, detail work on the eyes here. I think this eye really just a different HB, by the way. Just this is a Tombow. Just happens to be sharp. It's okay. Kind of wolf-like ears. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging out. We're doing the late show on this one, so if you're up with me and you're in my time frame here and we're in San Francisco, then you're on Cali time. It is late. But if you're somewhere else or you're catching this on the tape delay, welcome. We're doing a little Halloween noodling. We're kind of inspired to want to do something kind of creature-like. Maybe get some color on this. Not tonight. I would doubt this session I'm going to get actual color on this time. But we'll have this down so then next time we can do something. What are we going to do, though, with this arm? I am absolutely not sure what to do here. I like the 3-point stance. You know, I didn't really think about it, but this is really apparent to me now. This looks a lot like a football player stance. This looks like a kind of a running back 3-point kind of stance, which is great because that physique on a really great athlete. That's a great reference, actually. It's funny when we're drawing and we have shape language like that. That kind of stuff rings true to people's memories about things. So they're like, "Ooh, I feel like it's familiar, but I'm not exactly sure where," right? But sometimes it might be from something that they're very familiar with. So we had a little bit of the lines under the eyes here, which I like. These are ribs. He's bony. He's mangy. So what do we do with that arm? We don't want it to touch the ground, right? We know that. So it's got to do something that implies that he's not just an animal, but he's intelligent. Like he comes from, he comes from the apes partially too. So he's got that kind of knowledge of maybe tools. Do I want to give him like a weapon? Or maybe he's holding something else in this other hand. What if his hand was kind of holding something? Like, let's see. Let's say we're sort of here. And then we see the hand. That's a long arm, but we got the right idea. Let's move that back in just a little bit. So maybe sort of under here. He's coming to get you. He's gonna get you. Or maybe it's a she. So then the hand is kind of, you give it that human quality. But what's it holding here? A head. A torn head. Ooh, I like that. So let's see. Somebody that did battle with him, right? Who would have done battle with this werewolf lichen beastie, whatever this is. So I think we'd have a face. So we have a person's face here. So this is a flat on the ground. Like somebody, like a really strong person tried to come after him, right? So he's got this head. And it would seem like some sort of hunter. We got to show these like nails dug in. Yeah. Sorry for the gruesomeness, folks. But if you're gonna do evil beastie, man, so these nails will be dug in. And we'll put a little neck sort of slashed. The face is kind of, he's leaning on it. Oh yeah, that's the shiz right there. Okay. So we have this come down and we got the bicep. So this arm's gonna kind of come up here. All right, that's pretty good. I like this. Strengthen the silhouette a little bit. So here's this head of this person that he took off. I would imply that this person was probably like a warrior or somebody that really. How would I do that? Would it be a helmet? I don't want it to look like a civilian, although that would be pretty scary. But it seemed like this would be from. So maybe we put like some armor. But then you can't see that dead face. Armor would cover that dead face. We want that dead face. Welcome in if you're just joining. Just doing a little fun, spooky sketching tonight. Halloween's coming up. It is October in real time. So we're kind of getting excited about monsters and scary stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the hair would be kind of pulled back. This is pretty great though. I like this. Sort of like, I've got your head. Come get it. Do you want it? I'm coming for your head next. That's good. Shoulder's a little wider on that deltoid, so. Maybe come back a little bit on the definition of this arm. Just a little bit right there. Just little dashes of hair, these little whiskers on the side, which I think I need to soften that. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just strengthening silhouette now, right? And actually, you know, at this point, what can be kind of fun is I can do a little bit of marker work to kind of strengthen a little bit of the silhouette. See what I got here. I keep a marker kit pretty close by for sketching, so let me see what a few little layers can do. So I'm just going to use some warm grays. Just to see if this will help a little bit. Do a little bit of cleanup so it's not too muddy. I can kind of let some of the marker work come through. I think this arm may have to come out a little farther. I don't know. What do you guys think? We've got to get the fact, we've got to let them know that this arm is now his arm, and that this head that he just took is now possession of the beast. Of the beast. That looks pretty good. Got to make sure that visually it connects sort of behind here, right? All right. The heck, dropping my pencils all over the place. Okay, now this is not marker paper, so this is not gonna blend, but I'm not trying to blend. I'm just trying to get some basic tone. So probably should do a little test here. Yeah, that's good. Just kind of dark in certain parts. This is 20%, so I'm going to stay light. It's going to soak in, but it will lighten up a little bit as time goes forward. So that's okay. emphasizing the silhouette. Putting a little dimension. Bringing in a little bit of the fur texture. Not that it's going to have a huge impact, but okay. So this side's going to be facing the light a little bit more, so some hair texture is probably a little bit in here. Dark, 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 which is really what we're after. This is a good reason why to use the brush tip, by the way, because you can get these sort of thick and thin lines, which in my case here is really helping me with the fur texture, right? So a little bit of tone, just a little bit of tone. Little lift, 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 lift. Little bit of tone in there, texture. Just kind of mangy guy. Little sense of anatomy structure there. Clavicle. Yeah, not sure how much we're going to see there, but trying to give a sense of structure to the major muscle groups here. Yeah, it's looking good. Looking good. Those forms are popping. The dimension is working, and for a quick sketch like this tonight, this is definitely getting the job done. See if I can I'm realizing things have gotten a little dim here, huh? See if I can adjust a little bit of this. I guess that's a little better. Yeah. It's a little better, I guess. Just some basic tone here. Okay. I think I got a little bit lighter here, so I'm going to do a little bit of this for some ground shadow. It's kind of hitting it. So this knee's kind of coming forward, just kind of help explain that a little bit. This knee's almost touching the ground. A bit of the tail coming around. All right, guys, getting close. The forms are there. I think we've got the pose. We got a good rough draft. It was a fun workout tonight. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate your time hanging out. Hopefully you got a little something out of this. Man, I feel like this needs to be more intense. I'm gonna have to fool around with the my brightness on my camera. I don't know what is going on. Nice to see you, little shy fox. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate your time and returning. You have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Let's finish this up. All right. Trying to think what else I would really add, and I can't do too much more. Not without doing a deeper dive. So this is gonna have to kind of stop here. But I think we've brought out the silhouette nicely. So I think maybe a little smidge of the 50. Hit that with a little more 20. A little bit of 20 in here. Sense of the blood on the ground. Probably some bloody paws here too. Just a few little. This was supposed to be knuckles kind of going. So these are knuckles that are. This one's possibly a nail. We'll see if that works out. But these guys, these are knuckles. Last thing would probably be just to kind of touch up with the pencil for contrast. Be tempted to do it with ink too, but honestly, I think you get a better tonal sense if you don't start diving too heavy into the hard outline. But a little bit of boost for texture in a few places. A little bit of overlap here and there. Just in a few places. Little whiskers here and there. Bits of fur. Little bits of contrast here and there. I think we're getting it though. Just bits of texture here and there, just giving it a little bit of a boost. All right. I think for now, at least, this is as far as this one is going to go.